Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to a special edition of Triad Today. Special because of our guest. One guest, but a lot of things to talk about. Lori Bates, our director. Let's meet the Honorable Pat McCrory. He's Governor of North Carolina and a frequent visitor to the show. We're so glad to say. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back, Jim. Appreciate it.
Good to
Thank
see
you very
you.
much.
I want to start out on some serious things and then we'll get to some public policy issues later. The violence and hate crimes that are still fresh in our memories from Charleston, the horrible massacre. Here you are, I mean, first of all, there's so many levels to talk about, but let's attack the gun control issue of it. This guy, clearly a nutcase, clearly disturbed, hate crime. Would you be in favor of stricter gun control policies that might include things like a longer waiting period, a substantial waiting period, maybe raising the age of when you can get a gun, those kind of things?
I don't think we need any new laws, but I do think we shouldn't weaken the laws that we currently have. In fact, that's one reason I'm stressing with the state legislature right now to continue to allow the sheriffs to do background checks, because it's often our 100 sheriffs in North Carolina who know the background of someone who's maybe involved in domestic violence or mental ill problems, which the federal background checks don't always show. And that's something, in fact, B.J. Barnes, the sheriff of Guilford County, is a strong advocate of the sheriffs maintaining that control, because just because someone's not arrested or maybe not convicted,
they know about
the
it.
Sheriffs know about these individuals that may have some unique situations. And you know, this guy who did this terrible, terrible crime and in Charleston was obviously, I think there's one issue that's not being talked about. Not only was he racist, but I also think he had some drug and mental health issues. And that's one of the biggest problems I have in the state is mental health and drugs. And no one's talking about that except for, I know I am, and the addiction issue, but there's obviously some other issues that no one else, everyone's talking about the gun issues and of course the racial issues, but I think there were some serious mental health and drug issues.
These people slip through the cracks sometimes, but somebody somewhere always seems to know something that they could have told. You know, I'm not placing blame, but you know, school resource officers, if somebody had come to them, or you know, somebody, if we can just communicate.
We tend to sweep these things underneath the rug, and a lot of our mental health people are the emergency rooms at Baptist Hospital here in Winston, or we're in the county jails. And I think mental health is one of our nation's most serious problems, and one of my greatest challenges as governor, in which we haven't found the solution yet. I mean, if I had the solution, I'd implement it right now, but it's one of the biggest challenges for our Health and Human Services Department.
I don't mean to be trite about this, but I want to pick on you for a second. On the same topic, the Confederate flag, you're in favor of banning it from the license plates.
The battle flag.
The battle flag.
Yeah, only the battle flag. That's from a state-sponsored license plate.
I understand, but is that really going to make a difference?
For a shooting like this, no. But I do think, I think it's been put well that flag, the battle flag, has been hijacked for the last 50 years by the Klan and now by hate groups. And again, I think we did the right thing in going, we shouldn't put the Confederate flag, the battle flag, on a state-sponsored license plate because of the signal that it sends. But at the same time, this thing, I think there's an overreaction on the left to take it out of war memorials and
out of cemeteries.
Out of cemeteries. To me, that's just an overreaction. Or getting rid of the TV show from the 1970s on TV land. I mean, at what point in time?
Gone with the Wind, there's a New York critic and what's Gone with the Wind band.
And I know one of the New York Times people recently said we ought to, you know, change, even talking about the Jefferson Memorial. I mean, why don't we change the name of Washington, D.C., because our founding fathers also enslaved. So I think there's a common sense line that we ought to use. We shouldn't be Orwellian.
Right.
And remove the past, but at the same time, we shouldn't promote things that have nothing to do with the history in which the flag is really being used for other purposes.
Absolutely. There have been a number of incidents across the nation, speaking of racism, where you have a racist cop who either shoots, kills, or assaults an innocent African-American person. Very quickly, before we go to break, I'm just wondering, don't you think it would prevent some of these situations if police departments were mandated to hire according to the demographics of that community?
I don't know if it'd be legal. First of all, we have rules against discriminating against people because of age, gender, or race. So I'm not sure that would be legal, because then you'd be making an employment decision based upon someone's skin color. and not based upon the qualifications. But I do think there should be a purpose to do outreach of recruitment to ensure that you're including everyone in the recruitment. There's no doubt, especially in the 60s and 70s, a lot of police and fire departments were not well represented because they didn't have a pool of candidates representative. But I'm a firm believer in having a pool of candidates that resemble the community and our country. But from that pool of candidates, you've got to get the best of the best for any profession. So that's where I draw the line.
All right, I want to talk about the gay marriage spinoff from the Supreme Court decision and some other things with the governor, and we'll do that right after this break.